Hello, this is Red and April, and welcome to our off-grid home build. In this video, we'll be finishing our final foundation preparations and begin pouring our concrete pad one section at a time. Here we are just finishing up the grinding on the footers, smoothing those out since we'd originally intended to pour them and they weren't super smooth, so just smoothing those off with the diamond bit grinder, and then we decided to paint the interior footers, as you can see I'm doing here, with a kind of a thick sealer and water-resistant coating, just to keep moisture from wicking up through the ground since those interior footers go down to the earth. It's been a bit of a windy start to winter here, and we're just getting going on the foundation. Hopefully we won't have any trouble pouring during this cold weather. We decided to start on kind of the smallest spot first, which was the pantry. It's right off of the kitchen, and it'll have access from the kitchen and be, pretty decent sized little pantry there. But it's a small pour, and so it's a good place to start. We've never poured a pad before, and so we figured we'd start small and kind of learn as we go. We have the foam board on and we're ready to go, and as you can see, I'm adding fiberglass fibers to the mix here. We decided to add fiberglass fibers in lieu of rebar reinforcement, and I think we'll be fine here since we're doing, it's just an interior pad, and I'm using a really heavy-duty concrete mix, about a 4,500 PSI concrete mix, and then we're also using a good heavy dose of 3/4 inch long fiberglass fibers. So hopefully that'll give it all the reinforcement it needs and it'll be a good strong pad. The pad itself here is about 3.5 inches thick on top of that foam board, and I'll explain kind of the layering strata that we have underneath the concrete here in just a little bit. It didn't take too long to fill up this little section, and we're already ready to screed. So we just got a 2x4x8 and screeded it by hand, and that got it, fairly close. And then we got the bull float and kind of did the final leveling there. This is a bull float that I had actually borrowed from my brother years ago and never got back to him, so I owe it to him to get it back to him. Maybe after all this is done, I'll make a trip and return it. And here it is all finished up. It turned out real nice. We went ahead and covered it up that night to keep it from freezing, and we had to do that with all of these pours. And we decided to move on to the next smallest kind of section that was divided up, which is the closet in the master bedroom. And so here I am tamping it down, and we're kind of getting the layers in and getting ready to pour the concrete. And here's the first bucket going in. This is like I say, not a huge area, just a master closet. And so filling that up here one bucket at a time. April and I work closely together in these pours. Basically, I do the mixing of the concrete, and then she does the troweling and kind of working the concrete in. She also does the finishing. And she's a little more detail-oriented than I am, probably, and she does a great job. So we make a good team, and her help really makes this not such a bad job. I tried doing the front porch by myself, and it wasn't working out so good, and she came out and helped me finish it, and that really worked out well. I might mention that the bull float and good trowels are made out of magnesium. Apparently that is a material that works really well on cement. Each batch that we make out of this little concrete mixer, makes about maybe a little over a full bucket, like 1.25 buckets. So it takes quite a few batches to fill up, even a small space like this. Eventually we get it filled up. We're kind of screeding it out here. It's a little bit of a funny shape, kind of an L shape. And then it also has the water manifold header that sticks up on one side. So there's some obstructions in the way. So it was a little bit challenging for us, but overall it turned out good. We were pleased with it. April decided to do a little bit of an experimental texturing with some kind of coarse sand or small pebbles, just to see how that would turn out. The changing of the seasons definitely put a little more strain on our solar system. It's been getting down a lot colder at night. It got down to 19 one night the other day. Also, we've been getting a lot of cloudy days, and of course every day is shorter since it's the winter time. Plus, we also have to run space heaters to keep the well house from freezing off, and various heat, and so it puts more strain on the system. So here's an update on how that's going. It's a really cloudy day today, and just wanted to check and see how our solar system was doing. We are still making power. Right now on the inside we have a little space heater going and various other little things. So we're using more than we're making. We're using about 9 amps more than we're making. And right now we're about 50% battery. This is kind of mid-morning, almost lunchtime actually. And so our battery's doing okay. Usually on these kind of cloudy days, our battery doesn't get quite up to the normal 80 and 90%. It may only get to 60 or 70%. But we don't have a lot of big power users on at night, so we're able to get by just fine. I might also mention that during the day we have more power than we can use. Our solar panels generate a whole lot of electricity, more than we can use. And so we always have plenty during the day to run our power equipment. And so, running the cement mixer for several hours at a time and running other power tools has never been a problem at all. Here we are getting the guest bathroom ready to pour. This will be our kind of first fairly full-sized room pour, so this will actually take us a while. We know it'll take us several hours of constant mixing to make enough concrete to do this. Might mention a little bit about the layers that we're putting on the floor here. We put down the white layer first and then this black layer. The white layer is basically just a house wrap or kind of a heavy-duty tarp is kind of what it's like. And basically all that is for is to protect the black layer, which is the vapor barrier, from the sharp rocks and keep the rocks from puncturing it. And so the white layer is protection for the black layer is a vapor barrier, and on top of that we put down an inch layer of foam board. And with that foam board it has a foil sheeting, and that foil we put up because we want it to reflect the heat from the day that soaks into the pad back up into the home. Originally we had intended to use this cement mixer just to mix mortar to kind of coat the aircrete with, and since we've changed gears, it's probably not the best tool for what we're doing here. Probably would have gone with a much bigger cement mixer if I knew I was going to be pouring this much concrete, or I may have just had the concrete delivered and then worked it ourselves. But we ended up with a bunch of cement that we bought for the aircrete, and also a bunch of gravel, and so we just bought a little bit of sand and decided to make it all ourselves and use what we had on hand, including this rather small cement mixer here. But so it makes small batches, and it's pretty labor intensive, but it works, and we're able to utilize the materials that we have. This particular section that we're pouring, of course, it's the master bathroom, and so there's all kinds of pipe coming up through the ground. So it was a bit of a challenge for us, being kind of new at this, to pour around all that and work it in. But it wasn't too bad. It was a good learning experience. Also made sure, of course, that all these, all the pipe that comes up through the concrete is, shielded and protected by a layer of foam, so that as it expands and contracts, it's not rubbing against the hard concrete. It doesn't kind of wear a hole in itself. The master bath also has the washer and dryer hookups right there. So I think it'll be pretty nice, the situation we'll have here with the master bath having the washer and dryer kind of on the left as you come in, and then everything else on the right. We've always thought it'd be nice, since there's just two of us, living here most of the time, to have the washer and dryer, right in the master bedroom, right by the closet, where all of our clothes are, and it ought to be really convenient and work out well for us. Yeah, working around, all these different pipes that we're sticking up through is definitely a bit of a challenge for us. It required that we do some handwork and try to get things smooth, but fortunately we do plan on coming back with some kind of a, leveler, and maybe doing some kind of patterns in the concrete later on. So it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, and it's certainly not going to be, but we're just kind of doing the best we can here and trying to get it as smooth and nice as we possibly can, so that if later we decide not to do something, it'll still be nice. But we do plan to come back later and try to put some kind of a pattern or something in. It's been really chilly, and so the concrete's taken a long time to dry. Even after it's been setting for several hours, it's still quite wet. And so we actually had to wait till the very end of the day for it to be dry enough for us to cover. And then we definitely had to cover it because the temperature then starts plummeting into well below freezing. And so we had to get it covered and insulated. And so that's what we're doing here. It's a little bit breezy. And so we just kind of threw everything we had at it, all kinds of ladders and boards and whatever, just to try to hold it down and keep the wind from blowing off the foam in the wrap. We just want to protect it for a few days until it can get a good cure. Here we are getting ready to do the guest bathroom, which will be our biggest pour yet, and the biggest last pour actually before we start pouring the kind of the main living space part of the house. And so this one we knew was going to take us quite a while. Probably took almost 30 batches, 2.5 to 3 hours of straight mixing one batch after the other. So it was a pretty good marathon workout. But with the two of us working, it worked out just fine. There's a lot of pipe and stuff coming up through the ground here. Just a lot of stuff to work around. It was really, really challenging for us. You can see April working around the manifold there for the water system. And then, you got the plumbing for the toilet coming up and the bathtub and the sink and just everything everywhere. And so a lot to work around. About the biggest batch that this little concrete mixer will do is 1.5 gallons of concrete and 3 gallons of sand and 4.5 gallons of stone. And so that pretty much gives this little mixer all it will handle. And so those are the size of the batches. So that's a 1, 2, 3 mix. And those were the size of the batches I was making. Like I said, it was about 25 or 30 batches to get this little section here done. The fiberglass dose that we're using is 3 pounds of fiberglass to 1 yard of concrete. And for the smaller mixes that I'm doing, that ends up being 2 or 3 ounces per batch. I would say we went through about 6 bags of concrete for this section. So, we bought 2 pallets of Portland cement for the aircrete, and we've been trying to use that up, and we're going to have quite a bit left over even once we get done with all of this pad work, because we're just not using it real fast. But it'll actually be nice to have around for sidewalks or whatever else we may decide to do later on. We've been doing these pours kind of early in the morning most days, just so that we get done early while it's cool, and so that we have all day for it to dry, because it's been taking a long time to dry completely. In the afternoons, that's a good time for us to work on figuring out exactly how we want to do things, working on detail drawings so that we can make a kind of a cut sheet and get some materials ordered so that we're ready to go when we get this foundation complete. Once I finished the detail drawings, we were able to order, and so we finally placed our first big order with Lowe's. It was about $4,500 in materials, and they said they were about a week and a half out. Well, the day of the delivery finally arrived, and our driver showed up that kind of late in the afternoon. I know these guys are really busy, and I was happy that they were able to make it on the appointed day. He was able to put it right where we wanted it with his little forklift. I really love getting stuff ordered from the big box places instead of going in myself, loading it all onto a cart, loading it into my trailer, driving the trailer home, unloading it off of my trailer. That it saves me handling it 3 times by having them deliver it for me. And it was $80 to have them deliver all of these pallets of materials. So it was so well worth the expense to have them deliver it for me. And they just put it all exactly where I wanted it. It's so nice. Finally done pouring the bathrooms, and now I'm getting ready to pour the kitchen, dining, and entryway area. So kind of half of the main, open floor plan part of the house. And so our plan was to kind of have the heavy use areas in concrete, so that, the bathrooms, the kitchen, the dining room, the entryway, they get a lot of hard use. They may get wet, and so we wanted those out of concrete, so we don't have to worry about it. The rest of the house, more the living space, where we'll be doing a lot of walking and living, but probably not getting them wet or anything. We want to do an earthen floor in those areas. So the bedroom, and both bedrooms and the living area, will be that earthen floor. And so here I am trying to get that kind of divided area done. And so I'm forming up so that we can do the main living area. It's such a big space, though, that I knew there's no way we could even come close to doing it all in one pour. We're actually decided to divide it into 4 sections and pour it on 4 separate days. And even with that, there'll be pretty challenging pours for us with this little mixer and just a few people working on it. But I think we finally got the forms already. It's divided up into 4 sections. And here April and my daughter are working on getting the layering in and getting those ready for the pours. When we first changed gears here, we were really intimidated by the idea of hand pouring basically half of our entire floor here. But one little bit at a time, we just started off doing the smaller sections and worked into the bigger sections, and now, we just have this main area to go and we'll be done. So we got these 4 sections left to finish all the concrete for the entire pad, and then we're going to wait till later to do the earthen floor, probably after the house is dried in. So it won't be too long before we'll be ready to go up the walls, and really excited about that. Thank you very much for watching, and remember to like and subscribe.